Tomorrow, 4 countries book a ticket to the World Cup and 4 don't. Welcome to Semi-Informed Football Podcast. My name is Marko. I have Mark with me here today. We're going to actually talk about the last 4 spots that European teams can use to get into the World Cup. Now, this one's going to be really, really tricky. Last week, Mark, you met up with Matteo and you talked about a lot more games of going to the World Cup. I have to give you a lot of kudos on that one itself. I didn't really know much about the New Caledonia team or the Suriname team, so I got to give you a lot of credit about that one.
Yeah, glad to be back on talking about this. Our predictions have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Some Cinderella stories, took my semi-informed opinions on those.
Right.
New Caledonia and Suriname didn't pan out, but we did.
Well,
pretty well calling the European games.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there were a few lucky outcomes with that. Some great team games that went to pens, right? So it was really inspiring. But let's just jump right into it first. So we're going to go through all four games that we see coming up. So we're going to start off with Bosnia and Italy. Both great games coming into it. So Bosnia had a barnstormer of a game where they went to pens. They took Wales to pens and ended up coming past them. Was that one that you called, Mark, or am I wrong about that one itself? Did you think Bosnia was going to come out, or you thought Wales was?
I'm pretty sure we both called Wales in this one.
Yeah.
We did call it would be a very tight game because of the structures.
Yeah.
And it was a tight game. Leave it to 40-year-old Adin Dzeko, the relative. I mean, I believe he's the most famous Bosnian player ever. He was fantastic in his prime.
Right.
So you knew he'd be there a long time. Like I said, 40 years old.
Yeah. No, exactly, and very, very clinical. Right off the corner, header, right in the back, unbelievable. So, pretty awesome win. Then Italy wins 2-0 over Northern Ireland. I think this is a game that actually was a lot tougher than I expected it to be. First half, it looked like Italy just couldn't put anything on net. It was pretty scary, and that's how Italy has lost in the past. Where they played the possession game, they played along, but they ended up losing in the run. Case in point, North Macedonia, the last World Cup qualifying. So again, this one was a little bit scary, but second half calmed down a little bit for them. Really convincing win. However, there are some holes that I saw within there. So you know what? I'm going to throw out a few stats about actually this game. So that's happening. So it's actually going to be in Bosnia. So it's going to be in Zenica on Tuesday. It's going to be in. I'm just reading this right now. So Biljino Polje Stadium. This is a stadium of 14,000 people, so a little bit on the smaller side. What's really, really interesting is two main facts is that I think they've reduced the Bosnian fans by 20% just because of some past racist abuse with when they played Romania. So 20% less Bosnian fans. And another thing that's funny with this one is that I think as late as last week, they had a snowfall. So this is going to be under some really weird conditions that Italy is going to be playing Bosnia in. But honestly, this game, I know these players through and through, at least on the Italian team. I know a lot of the Bosnian players because they play in the Bundesliga. However, where do you see this happening right at the beginning? If there's any kind of interesting stories that you see on this one, Mark?
There is an interesting storyline, and basically the Italian team, they were together watching the game, and someone was filming them.
Yeah.
And when they saw that Bosnia had knocked off Wales, they were celebrating.
Yes.
DeMarco was celebrating, and he had to come out and say, listen, it was not a matter of disrespect. He's like, we respect all opponents and all teams, club and country. So I don't know if Italy really favored playing Bosnia over playing Wales, but maybe that could also energize Bosnia, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like if they resent that sort of celebration because they feel like the Italians are celebrating that they're the weaker team, I mean, the Bosnians can come really strong and play, right?
Yeah, no, and 100%, and they're playing with house money. Two things that I want to point out there is that DeMarco did play with Zeko in Inter Milan, so there is a history right there. So it's not necessarily there. He could actually feel good for Zeko. Who knows? On top of that as well. But and then another thing I want to point out is that I think a lot of people ended up picking Wales because they were so enamored by like the Gareth Bale type a fairy tale with Wales there. Now, Wales is a good team. Gareth Bale is long retired. However, I think they put a good they put a very strong effort out there, but I think that Bosnia just kind of whittled them down. One thing that I would that I remember just watching the game and saying like the crazy amount of uh posts that they ended up hitting. Like it was insane. Like this thing has got to be what 4 inches, not even 4 inches wide. I'm like the ball ended up always finding that post, which was kind of bizarre to me. But again, that's how it played out.
Yeah, and actually, what I wanted to talk about was Brennan Johnson. He's one of the ones who missed the penalty, right?
Yeah.
Didn't score. He's a guy you expect to score. And I know what you're saying about like Wales was expected to win because Gareth Bale inspired a nation, inspired future Welsh footballers, right?
Right.
So they had grown in quality. Um, but because this is a one-off game, and let's get right into the core of it now. I feel one of Italy's best strategies, and Matteo and I talked about, their defensive starlets and historically speaking, Italy's been defensive minded. That
Right.
served them very well. And I think they have the best shot stopper on PKs in Donnarumma.
Yeah, I honestly think Euro 2020 that was played in 21 that Donnarumma was a huge factor in them actually winning that
I'd
tournament.
say he's better at saving penalty shots than wide shots, where he does that stupid flop instead of using his height and jumping and
Yeah.
extending himself outwards. He does this
Yeah.
flop.
No, but we saw that on PSG where like even with the feet, it just really not as crazy strong with that. I'm gonna throw out a few.
Fantastic. He's fantastic at saving
Yeah.
penalties, and that might be, um, that might be their strategy, Marco.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm gonna throw out a few different things here. Like again, just to put a little bit of, I guess, grease on the fire with respect to Italy. So Italy failed to qualify for both 2018 and the 2022 tournament, and in 2014 they actually went out in the group stage. So this is getting a little bit antsy for I guess for I guess a country that is just so itching for soccer. So it's getting to the point where right now Gattuso the coach, he's really got to play the psychological game, and it's not really sort of just a regular tactical game anymore. Like this really has to get into the minds of all the players. I'm gonna throw out one name right here, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. I'm gonna see if you can kind of put it in. I guess if you were that person that kind of believes in this type of thing, but Clement Turpin, do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, so he's gonna be the ref that's in charge tomorrow, and he was actually the same ref that ref the game between Italy and North Macedonia when North Macedonia got that lucky win and actually went past Italy, sending Italy home and not going into the 2022 tournament. So if you're somebody that believes in kind of bad juju, I go that's not really great for them. So next thing I would say take a look at is like honestly though I watched the Italy game and you're right I was watching them in the first half and I felt that I'm like they just lacked that little extra oomph to play it before Tonali ended up scoring. Um, where I really loved how Moise Kean played, I really felt that Retegui was out of his element. So Retegui going to Saudi Arabia this year, and I felt like his form really did drop off. I saw a almost breakaway where he just kind of really misplayed the ball and the keeper ran out to get it. So I just feel that I don't know. I think they're going with the same lineup with the back three of Mancini, Bastoni, and Calafiore, but I really think that they have to be ready to kind of really jump on things because again, this game is going to go quicker than a lot of them think. So, I just I worry about I worry about their attack and ability to hold this and I think that Bosnia has that extra little oomph where they can actually take these players. Their front two of Dzeko and Demirovic, really, really great players, and they had a lot of chances in their game versus Wales as well. So let's see where this one goes because I honestly like both teams. I do think Italy's going to come out of this one, but not by much, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Bosnia ended up with the upset. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think Italy will eke it out, but if Bosnia wins, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
On the last pod, Matteo and I talked about again, um, Italy's defensive players, not so much the offense. And after we recorded that, I was thinking if there's two people I had to pick to, put the ball in the net, it would have been Chinali and Keane. And sure enough, they were the two that scored. And
Right.
yeah, I felt the same way you did about Redigi. Like his form is off since he went to Saudi.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate how it goes.
Yeah. One guy I would have loved to have seen was Chiesa.
Yeah.
Clearly he's not the player he was before his injury.
Yeah.
But every time he's come on as a sub at Liverpool, he's been given nonstop energy. He's bagged a couple of goals.
Yeah.
And he was actually called up and he got hurt.
Yeah.
And so he's out. So that was unfortunate because
Yeah, I think
it is all. That's what I love to see. A player who's running nonstop, fighting and wants it. He wants it.
Yeah, so I understand from in conversation with Gattuso that he pulled himself from the team. He said he wasn't of fitness, and Gattuso said, "You know what? He can't push the fact itself." So it is what it is. So Mark, let's actually jump to the next game. I'm going to take a look at Sweden and Poland. So this is maybe structure of Sweden versus the star power of a few players in Poland. What do you think of this one? Like, I almost feel that this is sort of round of 16, round of 8, semifinal, Euro written all over it. But this is in qualifying to get to the World Cup. Mark, is this going to be a phenomenal game?
Yeah, I think Sweden is faster. I think they're younger. I'm even gonna say, I know this is gonna sound weird because it's the World Cup, but I think they're even hungrier to get there. They really come along as a team over the years. Over the past 2-3 years, I'd say that they've been gelling. Whereas Poland, I feel like they're sort of on a down gradient, right?
Okay.
Lewandowski, he's aging. A lot of their players are aging. Not to say that Poland can't do it. I just think there's certain players when they play with their national team, and because of the system, the structure, knowing their teammates, a guy like Gyökeres who scored a hat trick,
Yes.
not part of this game, but a guy like Florian Wirtz, 2 goals, 2 assists. It's just certain players when they play with their national team, they really shine. And so Forsberg, Gyökeres, those are the type of players I think
Yeah.
will make a difference.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw out 2 names from each team. So Lewandowski, I have to disagree with you on that one. I think he's kind of aging like a fine wine. Is he as top form as he was with maybe Dortmund and Bayern? Maybe not, but honestly, I still think he has that killer edge. Also, Zelensky from Inter Milan. So if you end up seeing it, like I honestly think he has like a finalist for the Puskás Award for the nicest goal of the season, just on a volley straight in the back of the net. So I really do think that those are both very, very scary players for Poland, and I think they might actually cause Sweden some havoc. 2 other players that I'm going to take a look at are players that actually not on the team. So we have Isak that's off the team, but through injury as well. Same thing as with Kulusevski. Now, Kulusevski, I've remembered from from the Juventus days in Serie A. Now playing in Tottenham, I honestly do think that he is a rank on this team. Yeah. So honestly, but again, those players out. But again, Gyökeres really kind of finding form, right, and getting that hat trick in the last game. So,
But
I,
I'm just gonna make a comment on Zelensky.
yeah,
A couple years ago, the guy had an absolute phenomenal season, and it just sort of fell off the earth after that, bounced around.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that season is really a sort of one-hit wonder for him.
Yeah.
Not to knock him too much. Obviously, he's a professional player, but I don't know, Marco. I'm not
Yeah.
sold on Zelensky.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But I think it's somebody that can be a little bit scary there. So, are you? So you're
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So are you calling Sweden in this game?
Sweden. Yeah, you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to call Sweden, but I'm gonna be sad to see Poland go. Again, this is one that we agree with you already with. Okay, so let's jump into the third game. So this is surprise, darling, Kosovo versus Turkey. So this is pure emotion of Kosovo. So to that, I find Turkey, they should be a lot better at, they seem like they're not the sum of their parts. Like, I look at that midfield of Yilmaz, Guler, Kenan Yildiz, Aktürkoğlu, Çalhanoğlu, right? There's some really, really great players on this team, but they squeaked out a 1-0 win of Romania just to get to this game. And Kosovo putting away Slovakia 4-3, and I don't think many people saw that happening. So this is going to be a great tie because Turkey has a lot to prove, and Kosovo's almost playing with house money. What do you think about that one, Mark?
Honestly, I think Turkey wins this one. Just like the game against Romania, like what you were saying about Yilmaz, Guler, and you were surprised in qualification. I know this is going to sound weird, but over the course of World Cup qualifying, it's a couple years. They were a couple years younger.
Yeah.
A guy like Guler wasn't getting as many minutes as he currently is. So I do think, and I do expect Turkey to walk right into this tournament. They're historically a strong team. Like Matteo said, they're always a dark horse.
Yeah. Yeah, they always seem to be everybody's dark horse team to win.
Yeah, because they're good.
Yeah.
And so I expect Turkey to go in easily.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to point out is Vincenzo Montella is the coach of Turkey. Now, he was somebody that Italy really, really craved for the coach of the Azzurri before they ended up, I guess, moving on Spalletti and then going for Gattuso. So that, again, very, very strong football IQ there. So that's another thing too. Another point, again, being a Serie A fan, I noticed the Juve connection. So Edin Zagrova on the Kosovo side versus Kenan Yildiz on the Juve side. Kenan Yildiz, who I really consider to be one of the best young players out there. Maybe he gets a lot less play because he's playing in a Juve versus a Barcelona or a Liverpool, but I think he is a phenomenal player, right? So, and I think that's really going to come through, and I think they need that leadership. Maybe it's from Çalhanoğlu, who's playing on Inter Milan, to really push this team forward. So, Mark, I guess you're calling Turkey. You don't think that there's going to be an upset here?
No, I don't.
Yeah. You know what? Just for the sake of saying it, I'm going to say Kosovo does upset them. Just the fact that, again, like I said, is that it's all heart and playing with house money, but why not? So I'm going to go with Kosovo on this one.
All right.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, we're going to go to the last game, which I think is probably going to be the craziest matchup between the two. So this is Denmark versus Czechia, the Czech Republic. So these are ones where I think both teams have very, very solid players. Both have very, good to decent pedigree over the last, say, 20, 30 years of up and coming within Europe. And I think that this one actually is going to be the biggest challenge. Now, Denmark and Czechia have met each other a number of times in the last few years. I think the record right here is out of the last 7 games. 5 of them have been ties, which is quite crazy. But I think the last one may have been a win from Denmark, 2-1, which I think is the actual best bet that this comes out as a Denmark 2-1 win. Mark, what else can you tell me about this game?
Okay, I disagree with you on this one. I think the Danes walk into this one. I've been really big on the Danes. I've said that they're such a cohesive unit. A lot of familiar faces in the lineup. Great play from Damsgaard, for example, but just so many names on this team. But they just play as a unit. They play in a good system, and the Danes are just so strong. I can't see them not winning this game. The Czech Republic, if you're still relying on Patrick Schick, but no, I know he scored, but I don't think he's scoring against the Danes.
Yeah, no, that's fair to say, and I think the most of the outlets I see have a very, very slim Denmark victory. Denmark, this would be their third consecutive World Cup. You've seen them been really solid in international tournaments. I think this is I guess people can fact check me on this one, but I think this is a nation of 4 million people, so really punching above their weight, and always exciting to see the Danes in the tournament. And it would almost feel wrong not to have them in there. But again, yeah, I think you took the person right out off my tongue. But also Patrick Schick. I think Patrick Schick can be a difference maker. He can score that needed goal. However, I really, really do think that you're right. The Danes are gonna they're gonna overcome here. I think that the quality is stronger on that side. However, I do think it's going to be an amazing match.
All right.
Yeah, perfect. So those are the games right there. I almost feel like I wish all 8 teams of them, all 8 of these teams could make the tournament. But again, there's going to be 4 very, very upset teams going home, and this is going to be quite crazy. So, Mark, are you looking forward to these games?
Oh, absolutely. No matter what, I'm still looking forward to them. Lot of big takeaways here. Depending on who wins, who loses, there's going to be a lot to be said back home. So, for example, if Italy loses and doesn't qualify for their 3rd straight World Cup, there's a lot to be examined. And, once upon a time, I think the Serie A was the darling of the football world. All the best players were going there, and it's taken a big hit. It's taken a really big hit from the EPL over the last 30 years, and from the rise of, let's say, La Liga and even the Bundesliga.
Yeah, it's a little bit more parity. Again, we can make a podcast just on that alone, but I think that, the success that it had of the late 90s and the early thousands really, really hurt their youth development. I'm still seeing a lot of great players coming out of Italy, but again, just being shadowed by, I guess, the more lauded, sort of international player.
If there's anything to be learned from this, regardless of Italy wins or loses, I think Italy really has to put a big emphasis on developing attacking players. Like, you just have to. That whole defense, that's in their DNA.
Yeah.
That won't change. It's smart to keep that. But at the same time, you really need to invest and develop homegrown Italian attacking players that can score goals. That's it.
That's it. And honestly, that's a great thing to end off on. I think we're going to see some phenomenal games tomorrow. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Semi-Informed Football Podcast. Please like and subscribe on your preferred app, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you listen to this. Even on YouTube, we're putting them on there now. So again, 4 games, 4 countries. There's going to be at least a few heartbreaks, and we're going to be talking about this one for years. So Mark, until then, we're keeping you
semi-informed.